I saw this the other day, and this kind of blew me away. I saw this on Reddit, actually, about Lara Croft. Lara Croft, of course, is the main character in Tomb Raider, which is a game about a sexy chick with a couple of guns that run around and shoots people and does backflips and crap like that. They really made Lara Croft short, chubby, and plain-faced for the next game, complete with DEI chin, of course. What the fuck is a DEI chin? A chin belonging to yet another woman who wouldn't fuck them if they were the last man on Earth. I like that response. What the fuck is a DEI chin? Now, if you look at this, compare these two. Okay, this is Lara Croft from the late 90s. I think this is after the Tomb Raider movie came out, and they were trying to make her look more like Angelina Jolie. This is Lara Croft from roughly 10 years ago. What's the difference between these two? Well, the one on the right is obviously more realistic looking than the one on the left. And really, it blows me away that this photo is from 10 years ago. This photo's from like more than 10 years. I think it's from like 2011. Like this is like PlayStation 3 era. It really blows me away that it looks that good. That graphics have evolved that much. But what happens when graphics increase like this is that, well, people look more realistic in your games. They don't have to look like these sort of low poly PS2 models on the left, which is funny saying that, calling that low poly. It's like when that came out, those graphics were amazing too back then. But yeah, they don't have to look like a bunch of basic shapes kind of melded together or whatever. They look like real people. Well, what's going on is that as games look more realistic, then the people in those games don't conform to these idiotic beauty standards that the Gamergate type people adhere to. See, for 40 years, essentially, video games looked like cartoons. All through the 8-bit and the 16-bit and even up into the 32 and 128-bit eras. All the way up until that point, you could render a semblance of a human being, but not something that looked too real. So how do you get around that? Well, you do that by making your characters cartoon characters. And that's why back in the 90s, for example, it was very popular to have a cartoon mascot, something like Mario or Sonic or something like that. That's why you saw all these sort of Sonic the Hedgehog rip-off type things. It wasn't until maybe the PS2 era, what is that, the 7th generation of consoles, right? Really wasn't until then where you started to get human 3D models that looked realistic, that you could actually believe might be real people. You could even argue maybe one step after that, maybe the PS3 era is when it really started to ramp up. And you started to see things like the ability for them to do things like skin textures. You know, before a skin texture would just be a flat thing and they would like wrap it around or whatever. And now they can add things like you want to. You can show like pores on somebody's face. You can show wrinkles. You can show crow's feet. You can do all the things that make people look like real people. And for decades and decades, that has been the goal. The goal for some, not everyone, but for some game designers was realism. They want this shit to look real. Because people generally tend to like it when graphics look awesome, when they look real. And that's what's going on here. It's like, well, now we can actually render an actual human face that looks like an actual human face and not a cartoon character. And all the Gamergate guys hate that because they've been raised their whole lives consuming anime and fantasy and video games and shit like that have these unrealistic beauty standards. All women have to be extremely skinny, they have to have giant boobs, and their faces have to all look a certain way. What does DEI chin mean? Well, it was a term that's actually very recent, probably coined maybe 2 weeks or so ago. And DEI chin is referring to the fact that many game companies now, these guys are considering woke, are rendering women in a realistic way. And one of the things that real women have are chins. And they're trying to say that, oh, well, you know, they're making women ugly, that they're giving them, they would call it man jaw, big, well-defined jaws. And according to these guys and their beauty standards, only men are allowed to have well-defined jaws and women have to have no jaws. That, of course, comes from anime. It comes from anime characters. The way they draw anime characters is that women just have pointy faces. So I'm seeing dumb shit like this all over the place. Here's one I saw on Twitter. So is DEI chin just bone structure? And you can see what the fuck is DEI chin, and this guy Kala here posts a bunch of pictures of women with actual chins. You can see what I'm talking about. You would not say any of these are unattractive, except maybe this one right here. This one in the bottom middle. Okay, that woman's kind of ugly. But the rest of these are just, they look like normal people. They look like normal people because video game systems are now capable of rendering a normal human face and making it look almost real. Like there's still a little bit of uncanny valley there. But these women all have actual chins. They have a jawline that you can see. Their faces don't end in a triangle point like they're an anime character. And that's what this person is pissed off about. They don't like the fact that, oh, these women have strong jawlines or whatever. It's really fucking dumb. Okay, here's one that I saw. To be honest, I think the pendulum is frozen solid in the middle right now. About to crack, especially after Concord. No one wants to be the next company to waste $400 million on a video game. I'm intrigued to see where gaming will go next, honestly. Concord, if you guys remember, was that game that I think it took like 8 years to make, and then it died after 2 weeks. This big, huge game that Sony put out that was supposed to be like super awesome and all that, and it just did not resonate with anyone, and they had to shut it down after like 2 weeks. And a lot of the Gamergate chuds are saying it's because the game had character designs which were too woke. People with pink hair and mohawks and shit like that. And it's like, who even really knows? I mean, I think the reason why nobody bought it is because it looks like just another dumb shit fucking Fortnite clone. That's what it looks like to me. It looks just like Fortnite. And it's like, well, people already have Fortnite, so why are they going to waste their money on another game that does the exact fucking same thing as Fortnite? That's what it looked like to me. That's why I think the shit failed. But I don't know, maybe it also failed because a bunch of fucking Nazis didn't want to buy it because they had the women in it had DI chins or something. But anyway, reading on, I honestly am too, and I can't honestly say I have no idea what is actually planned for the future of Tomb Raider or games. I don't believe the unified outfit is the TR12 model either. I have my guesses, but we'll see. Okay, and what are these assholes talking about? They're talking about Lara Croft. To change what once was sends a message that it needed to be fixed. What was wrong with being feminine and pretty? That's deep-rooted sexism some of you aren't ready to discuss. Now, this guy is saying, of course, that they changed Lara Croft from being feminine and pretty in the left picture to being mannish and woke in the right picture. What is the difference between these pictures? So her boobs are bigger, and she has a more angled anime kind of face. Her face is more like a triangle. And of course, this picture has Lara Croft with smaller boobs and an actual chin. Do any of you find this picture here on the right any less attractive than that picture? I mean, they both look like fighter babes. You know, what's the trope? The badass bikini babe or whatever. They look exactly the fucking same. Okay, so one of them, their tits are bigger than the other one. But it's not like Lara Croft on this side is a weakling. You know, she's got muscles and shit. She's sleek, she's muscular, she's worked out. She just has unrealistic body proportions. The body proportions here are more real looking. Her face actually looks like an actual person's face. This face looks like a supermodel face. So they made her look more real, but not any less attractive. And that somehow is making everything woke. It kind of doesn't make any fucking sense. Okay, here's another one. Learning the law. This is how ESG Western industry might work. Pick a female model for advertising, masculinize her chin, and make it sexless. Better score for stakeholders. Keeps the DEI team design happy since they hate how the model looks. Model, sign an NDA, and go home with a lot of cash. So it's all part of some plan, is what he's saying. It's like, they do this on purpose. It's part of some evil plan. It's like, oh, well, they got a model that actually did look pretty, And then when they made her, so you can kind of see this is the model, and then that's the model, and then that's what they made her look like. I mean, if you look, yeah, this model actually does have a cleft in her chin. If you look, she has a cleft in her chin. They gave her a cleft in her chin. I mean, that's her. That's what she looks like. Now, keep in mind, this picture, for example, her face, you know, she's got makeup on and shit like that. This picture, this character doesn't. These guys don't understand this. It's the same person. The face is modeled after that person. Doesn't mean they made the face exactly like that model. What is so wrong with the way this person looks? This is what a real person looks like. It's not that far away from this face. Look at that. Look at this. Take this face, give it the same expression, take away all the makeup, take away the lipstick and the foundation and all that. Make her look like a real person with like acne and shit, and that's just what you get. These guys can't understand that because to them, every single woman in a video game has to look like a supermodel with giant tits and no chin at any given time. Here's another one which I thought was funny. In case you thought this wasn't sexist, here's one for you. Hear me out. Wouldn't it be a better solution if Western AAA companies would just hire the most ugly person for the job, much cheaper to do, plus they wouldn't have to insult the model with uglification, although now thinking about it, they probably could uglify even the ugly. Because that's the whole idea. Like, these guys are saying, like, oh, these people are taking models which actually look really good and making them look ugly to be in their video game. You know, it's not like movies don't do this either. Because here's the thing, I will admit, okay, yes, that video game model, the one that we just looked at, didn't look pretty. But that doesn't mean she's ugly, number one. And that also doesn't mean that the game is making her look ugly on purpose. Every single woman has to conform to their beauty standards, no matter what the game is about. Video games are a lot more sophisticated than they used to be. They're not just all action platformers. They're not just all adventure action platformers where you run around and shoot stuff and do backflips and that kind of thing. Video games have plots now, especially big AAA titles like this. They're very much closer to movies with a plot, with characters that have feelings and motivations and all of that shit. Very much closer to that. Not every single character is supposed to be beautiful either. It's a sign of video games maturing as an art form, where not every woman, every female character that shows up has to conform to like your notion of spanking material, right? They're not like, the character isn't there so that you can masturbate to her. She's there to tell her role in the story. And really, it's like, this is all coming from guys who, like I said, have spent 40 years ever since the 80s playing video games where every single female character in it looked exactly the fucking same. They looked like an anime chick or something like that. They either looked like an anime girl or they looked like a chibi kind of Princess Peach kind of fucking thing. It's not even that Princess Peach is immune to this either. At least Princess Zelda. Because I got another one here for you. This is from someone named Serbius XT. Hell yeah, yet another goated woke DEI infested game for non-anti-woke gamers to enjoy. Nintendo full girl boss Zelda exposed as his employees push DEI in video games. This is really a guy who thinks that the latest Legend of Zelda is a DEI vehicle, part of the woke agenda, because you play as Zelda and you don't actually play as Link, which is absolutely fucking ridiculous. I mean, why not have a game where you play as Zelda? As far as I know, I don't think there are any other games where you play as Zelda. Like, there's something like, what, 30 Legend of Zelda games? 35? Something like that, if you count them across, like, all the Game Boy titles and things like that. There's like a lot of them. And in every single one of them you play as Link. Nope, that's not true. There's one more that I can think of. There was a game on the CDI which you played as Zelda. A Zelda game where you actually played as Zelda. It wasn't even on a Nintendo console. It was on the Philips CDI, Magnavox Philips. Which, if you don't know what that is, it was an early 32-bit CD-based game system. See, I used to run a gaming website back in the day. I actually have a CDI. I don't have that game, though, because it sucks. It's a piece of shit. And people want fucking hundreds of dollars for it now because it's a Zelda game. It's like, even the shitty Zelda games sell for a lot of money. Anyway, but yeah, see, you can kind of see it's like it has nothing to do with the actual content of the game. It has nothing to do with the storytelling in the game. It all has to do with the way the game looks. And you got to keep that in mind, folks, when it comes to any of this shit where we talk any of this, not just this fucking DEI woke chin shit, but anything having to do with these dumb shit culture wars whatsoever. Any of the anti-trans stuff, it all comes down to men who don't get laid forcing their beauty standards of what they consider beautiful on everybody else. Why did the female boxer Amin Khalif, why did they all turn against her and claim that she was a trans woman and all that? Because she doesn't look the way they think a woman should look, because she was big and strong and not small and petite. Why are all these assholes flipping their fucking lids? Because these women in video games have chins for the first time ever, because they think women shouldn't have chins. They think only men are allowed to have a jawline. I don't even think you could say any of these women that we saw actually have big chins. I wouldn't say so. They're just like normal looking chins. Are any of these actually big, the chins here? I think maybe you could say this one might be big, but it's not even her chin that's big, it's the jawline. Like, she actually has a defined jaw that doesn't come down to a point. This is something that normal, ordinary people have. This is what normal, ordinary people look like. Millions and millions and millions of women have faces that look like this. Yet somehow this makes it a DEI thing. This makes it woke to show what a real person looks like. It's because these guys want to masturbate to anime women. That's what it is. That's stupid, ridiculous bullshit. And it's good to see that people know that it's bullshit. So I'm seeing some responses to this kind of thing. Here's one from someone named Orion. Thank God these women were around at a time where DEI chin wasn't a thing to complain about. And of course you have actual actresses, beautiful actresses. You got Sigourney Weaver, you got Linda fucking Hamilton, you got Gina Davis, and you got whoever the fuck this is. This was, what's her name? That played Elektra in the really horrible Ben Affleck fucking Daredevil movie. That movie was a piece of shit. Although she does show up in the latest Deadpool movie. Where, what the fuck is her name again? Jennifer something? I can't remember. I can't remember what this actress's name is. But she does show up in the latest Deadpool movie and she kicks ass, so that's cool. But still, it's good to see that people are pushing back against this shit. People are not falling for the dumb shit DEI thing. Another one that I saw, this is from somebody named Worm. Now, what the fuck is DEI chin? Why are the most beautiful women I've ever seen getting insecure over the most stupidest shit ever? That makes me so sad. And this comes from someone named Selma. Just found out I have a fucking DEI chin and having stopped crying since. I think she's supposed to say haven't stopped crying. Of course, I don't really think this woman is actually crying. I think, of course, this is a snarky and brilliant response to the whole DEI chin bullshit. She doesn't even have she just has a normal jawline. I mean, this is what a normal, ordinary person looks like. Look at this person. She has a normal jawline. She has texture on her skin. Her skin is not flawless. Of course, she's not wearing makeup. This is what normal, ordinary people look like. And now we have video game systems that can actually render this detail. She has freckles and shit. She has coloration. Her nose is redder than the rest of her body. You can see, like, she's not wearing foundation. She's not wearing makeup. Her skin doesn't look pristine and flawless like a porcelain doll. She looks like a normal fucking person. Would any of those assholes who posted all those pictures of Lara Croft with a DEI chin, would they think that this woman is unattractive? I don't know, maybe they would. One more response to this and then we'll pack it up. This is from Michael. Also not sure why they're using an action figure as a comparison, but below is the look teaser image of Laura in the next game, DEI, Chin, and Chubby. Are truly insane takeaways. She looks great. So they're saying that she looks chubby here. I don't see how this image looks chubby. It's also worth reminding everyone this new design is actually around a decade old. Lara Croft has looked like this long before the culture wars infected everything, and again, she's always looked great to me. So yeah, that picture is PS3 era Tomb Raider. It's absolutely fucking ridiculous. When you wonder about this stupid Gamergate shit and where it all comes from, just remember, folks, it's all like disgusting dickheads who would never actually have a real woman touch their balls ever in their entire life. These are men who have spent their whole lives doing nothing but playing video games and masturbating, and now they're mad that they can't masturbate to the women in their video games anymore because the women look too real. They look too much like the real life women who turn them down every day, and it's driving the men crazy. So it's bullshit, folks. It's bullshit, and everyone is insane.
Hello folks, if you like what I do and you want to support the channel, please consider buying something from my Etsy shop, supporting me on Patreon, liking and subscribing, and checking me out across my social media links listed below. Thank you all so much, and see you next time.